Hey everybody, welcome to Building Character here at Game Trade Media. I'm your host Rick. This is a show where we take role-playing games, a lot of the times it's Dungeons and Dragons, and we make characters with your help. Today we have a very special guest in that this individual has been involved in this particular game, D&D, since the dawn of time.
Older than dirt.
Yeah, it's amazing. So let's introduce Zeb Cook, David Zeb Cook. There he is. So thank you so much for joining us, Zeb.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to have you in here ever since we met at the Charm City Meadworks.
Yeah. Oh, God, yes.
Right. That was a little bit ago. Last year when I think it was
It was about this time last year,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. And it was kind of funny because I'm in there and I'm setting up some stuff because I'm giving away like miniatures and doing little paint workshops and stuff.
I'm a sucker for giveaways.
Right. And one of the hosts was like, "Hey, Zeb Cook's here." And I was like, "I know Zeb Cook. I've heard that name many times. I've read that name on many things." And there you were. And it was great to meet you then. And
That was really interesting. That was, so to explain for people who have no idea what we're talking about. So Charm City Meadworks, it's a place that brews mead, and they started doing like D&D nights like once a week, and I think it was so they could try and get some people to show up to the tap room on a slow day. And so basically they were doing these pretty well organized pickup games.
Right.
And so I wound up playing with a group of people who had no idea. Like, I was like, "Oh, you know how to play this game? Yeah, don't worry."
Right.
And, I wasn't going to explain anything to them either.
Right. It's just funny when they had no idea who they're sitting with.
No, I think maybe one or two of them did, but most people were like, because they were all like, 20 something,
Sure.
Yeah. And, me, I'm ancient.
So we're going to build a character today using 5th edition rules. We've got the setup here for D&D Beyond, but of course we always recommend going to your friendly local game store and picking up the books because that's how you support your friendly local game store. And also, they're fun to have and get signed. So, Zeb, what we usually do is we usually pick a miniature and then with the help of everybody in the chat.
Excuse me, I'm going blind, so you know.
Sure. So we have some Goliaths, we have an Asmir, a Tiefling.
Well, I think we were talking about this before. By rights, we should do a Tiefling because, I'm kind of responsible for them.
That's right.
But, I also, I'm very drawn to dwarves. I don't know, do we have any preferences? What do you got?
Let's see what the group says.
Yeah.
First we got some hellos from Lee Short, Mini Painting Studios,
Hi.
Sarah, Dave Schrumpf says, "Excited, hey Rick, salutes to Zeb." Corey Ember's watching, and everybody's saying hi.
Hi. Well, hi all of you.
So if everybody watching, if you have any choices that you would like, we have a selection down here that you can kind of see. We've got like a roguish character. We've got like a female, maybe half-elf.
I'm not doing bards.
Maiden.
Forget it. I'm not doing bards.
No bards?
No.
Dwarves, a couple Goliaths, a giant, a big human fighter, a couple of those, and then a tiefling and a dragonborn. So if you all want to choose which one we build, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm willing to try anything.
And you said that you've mainly been, when you do play 5th edition, they've been with pre-generated characters.
Yeah, mostly, I've been played a bit of the 5th edition rules and, find them pretty easy to pick up and go, which makes me very happy. But, it's because we were playing these pickup games. They were providing characters, or when I go to conventions and play a game, usually people provide characters.
Absolutely.
I don't. My life is such. I don't have time to run a campaign. Or anything
That makes sense.
anymore.
So Dave Taylor says, "Howdy, I think it'd be great to see Zeb's take on a dwarf."
Ooh, a dwarf.
So we have a male and a female to choose from.
Oh, okay. How do you tell?
Yeah.
Oh, no beard. That's the classic argument right there. We'll go with the
right, so we'll put
beardy guy.
The beardy guy on the
Guy
spinner.
on the little thing.
There we go. So there's our dwarf. And what we usually do is we'll go to the character generator. We do standard. So one of the first things we like to come up with is so we already picked a dwarf, so we'll just pick that. But we also pick the class of that dwarf.
Okay.
Is it a hill dwarf or a mountain dwarf?
Wow. When you're dwarves, hills sound like you're kind of like an underachiever. Hi, I'm a hill dwarf. I'm a mountain dwarf. Ooh, okay.
That makes sense. So let's go with mountain dwarf.
All right.
There we go. And with that, we're going to get a tool proficiency.
Ah.
We can choose between a brewer's supplies, masons, or a smith's. So everybody watching, if you have a choice, let us know.
Oh wow,
What would you pick,
this
Zeb?
is conflicting between my personality and what I think a dwarf's personality would be.
Sure.
You know, like wow, I should have like mason's tools as a dwarf, but my personality is going brewer's tools. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. All right, we'll go with brewer's tools.
Tools, perfect. So, Zeb, when you were working with TSR back in the 80s,
Yeah.
it's late 70s, right?
Oh, I started in '79. Yeah.
What was your first take when you walked in as a member of TSR?
Well, my first take as a member of TSR is that I took a pay cut from teaching to go to this job. And yeah, so that was kind of like, okay. At that time, TSR was in the small town of Lake Geneva, which was actually a bigger town than where I had been teaching. So that was a step up. And it was in the old Hotel Claire in downtown Lake Geneva, which was a 3-story hotel, about the tallest building in downtown Lake Geneva.
Yeah.
Except for then later hotel stuff got built. But it was immensely run down.
Oh.
Had the
seen
dungeon hobby
pictures.
shop on the first floor, and we were up on the 3rd floor with the design department, and there were like, 3 or 4 of us.
Right.
They had no idea, they were just starting to set up a design team. Right. And so I got, came to that. And show up, my name's David, and the first thing that kind of comes out is, well, we've got a guy named David, and that was Dave Sutherland. And we got another guy down in the shipping department, which was, i.e., the basement, right? And he's named David, so we call him Diesel.
Makes
So,
sense.
you
Nice.
need a nickname. And so I had, when I was teaching, students called me Zeb, because I guess I look like a character in a TV Western. And it was better that they call me that than other things.
Sure. That makes sense.
So when I got there, I just said, well, we'll just use that, because I'd kind of gotten used to it. And so then, yeah, at that point, it was like, you get there and you're going like, wow, I don't know anything about designing games in a kind of a professional kind of sense. Then I kind of, after a little while, realized nobody here does.
And what was the first TSR product that you were hands-on?
The first TSR product that I was hands-on, I think it was, I got to remember here, I think it was, there was some proofing on the, would have been the Dungeon Master's Guide, I think.
Okay.
And that was just minor. Here, we got these, everybody take a look, look for typos.
Sure.
But I think then the first really serious thing I worked on was the editing on Queen of the Demon Web Pits. Because that was coming out, and they needed an editor for that, and they said, "Great, you're an editor." Okay.
Nice. You get this title immediately.
Yeah. Well, it's like, well, we were at that point. Everybody did kind of everything.
Sure.
Sometimes you edited stuff, sometimes you wrote stuff, sometimes you did development, which is you took stuff that other people wrote and you told them how to fix things, or you fixed it, and and that was basically what we did.
That's super cool.
The first published thing I had that was mine would have been A1 from the A series.
A1 from the A series.
Yeah, that was the
Slave Lords.
slave lords of the
This?
Yes, slave pits of the Undercity. Yes, and which we wrote as a tournament module.
Right.
You'll get me going here, and I won't stop. That'll be great.
So you have the tournament scoring in the back.
Yeah. Oh God, that yes. So we decided to do that. You have to turn around so they can see it.
Right.
We decided to do that because every year at Gen Con they would have these tournaments that would be the official AD&D tournament, and every year they had always been kind of done by some outside group, and that kind of got somehow approved to do it, and I was never quite sure how that process worked. But that year, the year previous, it apparently somebody in our team decided that we could do better. We should do this ourselves. And so then it's like, great, we'll write 4 modules, 4 adventures, and they'll all be stringed together and make a single story. Not only that, we'll be able to sell them at the con, and it'll be great. Now, ignoring over the fact that this meant we had to do 4 modules within about a 9-month period,
Right.
which was like orders beyond the pace that we had ever tried
Sure.
to do anything before. Plus then 3 of the 4 modules, because they were the opening rounds, all had to be essentially kind of identical in difficulty, and we had no idea how to figure that part out. and then we had like 4 different writers doing them, and so they all had to be like some kind of coherent story
Right.
with 4 different people doing them all at the same time. Yeah, so this was like, this turned into an incredibly bad idea somehow.
And then you had to get the art assets, because that's one of the things about the older modules, of course, was all the artwork.
Well, we had artists in-house.
Right.
At that point. We did all of our art in-house.
Let me see. There's one of them. I think it was in this. Maybe it's in the.
But I got the great Errol Otis cover, so I'm happy.
Yes, you did. Yeah, we'll just show that one. So you got the amazing art that was from the 70s and the 80s and everything. Which, speaking of art, have you seen the Art and Arcana book that came out?
Oh yes. Actually, they interviewed me a little bit for it, so I think I have about two sentences worth of comments in it.
And then a friend of mine, Seth Polanski, he lives in Silver Springs.
Oh.
Him and his wife and a friend of theirs actually did a documentary
Oh.
called The Eye of the Beholder, The Art of Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, I've heard of it. I have never seen it.
It's pretty amazing.
Oh, cool.
The Kickstarter really was last year, and they just kind of sent out the first wave of stuff to the backers recently. But there's a lot of good stuff talking about Planescape.
Oh, good Lord.
In there.
Wow.
I mean, because when you think about art, that was amazing art.
That was an incredible amount of good luck on for me. It wasn't on my part, because I was just the recipient of good luck more on this than the person who arranged it to happen.
So I have the Monstrous Compendium for Planescape. You can kind of see the artwork here, but the big thing...
Yeah, you can see it even better on
the inside.
Yeah. Open to a random page, and you get these
so
wonderful
good.
Tony DiTerlizzi drawings, and he will admit he will never do this again, because he did all of the monster art in this, and because he was terrified of saying no, essentially.
And here's the coveted box set, and with the Lady of Pain up there. And a fan recently sent you a never worked piece, right?
Yeah, that was amazing. In that I got an AIM message, an IM from somebody that I didn't recognize, saying, could you send me your address? I have something to send you. And you get strange messages from people saying they want to send you stuff. Your first reaction is, oh my God, no.
Anthrax.
But I went and actually did a little lookup on basically, followed his link to his Facebook page, that sort of stuff, and found that, oh wait, this is a guy who collects obscure D&D stuff, and so I said, oh, okay. I figured he was probably wanted, send some stuff maybe that I would sign or something like that.
Sure.
And so I took the chance and I sent it, and I got back a message from him, and it turned out he was in Spain of all places.
Oh wow.
And said that a package was on its way, and then I forgot about it, because it takes a long time for things to arrive. And then this box showed up, and it was taped completely over. Every inch of it was covered in tape.
Right.
So you saw your way through all of that, open up, and then it's like this bundle that is completely wrapped up in plastic bubble wrap and stuff, and that's completely covered in tape, right?
Perfect.
And I open that up, and there's another layer of bubble wrap and everything.
This guy.
And by the time I get it out, he had this absolutely gorgeous sculpture of the Lady of Pain done in metal with and it mounts on a little thing, and it's wonderful. And apparently he knew somebody who made these, and they're almost like exact replicas of what you see on the cover.
Yes.
It's amazing.
The photos that you posted up online were just
beautiful.
beautiful.
Find my page.
We have a couple questions for you in the chat. One of them is,
I'll lie, don't worry.
when you get a chance, when you worked on tieflings, did you view them or as distinct from Cambions, or basically similar concepts?
I viewed them as distinct because the idea was there's really no real knowing of what their background is because they don't talk about their dad or their mom or whatever.
Right.
And plus they could kind of be any blend of things from almost certainly lower planes, and we wanted them, and we didn't want them to feel like they had to play a certain way or anything like that. So we didn't tie them to any particular kind of monster group or anything like that. We just wanted them to be their own things.
Okay. And they definitely have become their own things.
Oh my God, they've surprised me.
Yeah, they're amazing characters. I think in one of my campaigns that I run, there's 2 of them. And
they're annoying as hell at times.
that is a fact. All right, so let's get back to the character. And everybody out there watching, we need a name for our dwarf. And also a class. Do we want to go barbarian, fighter, maybe paladin?
So the first dwarf I ever played, who was my first character, was named Fred 9802.
9802.
Now, mind you, this was in like 1974 or something like this. The concept of role playing was like, I got a little guy, I can do things with him. and I think I named him Fred 9802 because all the other Freds before him had probably died horribly.
I could dig that. We've got, they're talking about the Cambions now in the chat. That's kind of fun. So everybody watching, if you could give us an idea of what you think the class and a name for our dwarf, that'd be awesome. We all know that I like those like strong, like hammerfells and
no bards.
Right, no bards. So
Let's see, what would be...
Ooh, we got a dwarf cleric has been announced in the chat by Dave.
I could do a cleric. I can be perfectly annoying as a cleric.
Chris Cox gave us a name, Algernon Anvil Breaker. Use that clan name a lot. That's a cool name. Anvil Breaker.
Al Anvil Breaker.
Yeah, Al Anvil Breaker. Because nobody's going to say Algernon.
Yeah, it's like, dwarf will get insulted. It's like, you call me what?
Chris Gorka said Druid.
Druid's not bad either. Dwarven druids. It's like, hi, these are my mushroom friends.
Right. And if I remember right, in the A series, we're introduced to the
Myconids. Yes, oh my God, the Myconids. We play tested the A series because we had to play test everything of every one of these, and that was the great one of the great moments of play testing was when we got to A4 Lawrence's module, and you wake up in the dungeon, you've been stripped of all your stuff, you've all this, you've been like smashing and crashing through things, and now you are in fear of your life from kobolds and running into strange fungus people.
Yeah, when I played that was, I want to say it was probably like 84, 85 when I played those modules. My first modules I ever played was the G series, which was amazing. I was only like 10. so just like the kids from Stranger Things, I was one of those kids. Chris says, I hate to be a slave to tradition, but either a fighter or a paladin. We're going to use Algernon Anvil Breaker. It's a really cool name. And it's the first name that anybody put up there today. Usually we get like Donnie. So, and there was also Monk. But I think looking at that miniature, Monk is not going to really
I have a hard
translate.
time. I have this knee-jerk reaction about monks.
Okay, I would like to hear that.
Well, it all goes back to Oriental Adventures.
Speaking of which, didn't you have a hand in that?
Oh yeah, I wrote Oriental Adventures too, and we had the monk class had been introduced to be sometime before that, and I had to try and figure out how to make them fit properly into because they were like this kind of completely goofy collection of Oriental abilities, and so got to get it all worked in. So then when I did a second edition, I removed monks. Yeah, I know. Got a lot of flack for that.
So we're gonna go with cleric. That actually
all right,
does
cleric
sound.
It is. What am I a cleric of? I know how to brew. I'm a brewing
You're,
cleric.
you're a brewing cleric.
Yeah.
So we have our divine domains. Well, let's first. What level do you think this particular guy is? If we can get a close up again. He's got a decent looking hammer. He's well adorned.
Yeah, he has stature, but all dwarves have stature.
Looks like is that a shield on his back as well?
I'm thinking that he's still, for me the most fun adventures tend to be when you're about 4th to 6th level, where you've got some abilities, but you never have enough.
Right.
And so you can get yourself into trouble so easily, so quickly. So, somewhere there, maybe a little higher, maybe.
Chris Cox says somewhere between 3 and 5, and Dave Trump says, let's go hardcore, 10th level. Oh,
10th level, your life is over.
Right. I like the idea of, you said between 4 and 6?
Yeah.
5?
Yeah, all right, we'll do 5.
5th level. All right, so when we pick 5th level, it's going to open up a bunch more things that we can choose. One of those is going to be our path, that you can get. So under the divine domain here, we can choose some options. We have the knowledge domain, life domain, light, nature, tempest, trickery, and war.
Oh, wow. So now the cliche for the dwarf would be to go straight to the war.
Right.
So let's defy convention.
Okay.
I have no idea what tempest sounds weathery, fiddly stuff. Doesn't sound like it works great for a guy who lives in a cave a lot.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like, so light or trickery?
Light or trickery? Ooh, trickery. I have no idea what trickery does. Let's do trickery.
All right, let's take trickery domain.
I'm apparently the dwarven cleric of bastards.
So we picked that. So we also get to give our dwarf an ability score improvement, but we'll come back to that after we roll our stats.
Let's find out how bad his abilities are first, and then we'll have fun.
And as a cleric, you get a couple of clerical skills: history, insight, medicine, persuasion, and/or religion.
Oh, I'm a history nut.
Okay, so history.
It's completely useless. It drives DMs mad because you say, "I'll use my history ability," and they're like, "Oh crap! Now I got to figure that out."
I didn't write history for this module or this campaign. You guys are making history. And then as a second skill, insight, medicine, persuasion, or religion.
Wow. With trickery, I think we ought to be persuasive.
I agree.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll come back to the ability score. So let's go to abilities. And we like to do the manual method. And we'll take our dice.
Oh, good. This is the best part.
And
People always complain about using random die rolls. I think random die rolls actually give you the best characters because everybody wants their character to be perfect. And that's no fun. And there we go. We are off to a great start.
With a 6.
We are using that. We are using that somewhere.
Of course.
I don't know.
So what I do is I usually just put them in as we roll them, and then
we'll move them around. Yeah.
All right. Our next roll.
I'm not going to say anything about my die rolling at this point.
9, 10.
10. Okay. 10's completely average. You're a guy who basically, way back in early 70s, created a character and wound up with a 3 ability.
Oh, no.
And he gleefully put it on his dexterity.
Oh, my gosh.
And as he explained, he was a guy who basically had, glasses with a thickness like that, right?
Super thick.
And he said, yeah, well, this guy has eyesight like I do when I take my glasses off. And he had a blast playing that guy.
I bet.
He was a fighter with a 3 dexterity.
Oh, my God.
Put his back to a tree and just swing madly.
There we go, 16.
All right, good. Now we have something that's viable. There we go.
Ooh, 14.
Yeah, all right, let's see.
I was really like going, and next.
And another completely average roll.
10. And last one.
Last one.
11.
11. Okay. All right. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to have to stare over at the screen here like I'm not paying attention to people for a moment.
So we have a 6, 10, 16, 14, 10, and 11.
Well, I think that we're going for trickery. Let's put the 16 into charisma.
Okay.
And then we'll make the wisdom 14, since hey, I'm a cleric.
Right.
You know, let's not completely, suck in our major categories.
Okay.
Now the big question is, folks, is where should that 6 go?
I actually like where that 6 is.
He'd be pretty wimpy. Yeah, he'd be a wimpy little dwarf. That would be kind of amusing. He'd be scrawny. The Constitution doesn't sound, because then all I'll do is I'll cough all the time while I'm adventuring, which doesn't sound like a lot of fun. It's either that or intelligence, one of the two.
Sure.
having a dim-witted trickster is, that might be a tough sell.
Yeah, I think a tough sell.
Okay, it's a tough sell. So, all right, we'll put that in strength. We'll make him a feeble little guy. He's old. That's it. He's really, really old.
Oh, that could be it. Yeah.
Or maybe not. Yeah. He got a late start in the adventuring
I also
career.
feel like that hammer that he's carrying is actually made of foam. But it looks really devastating and powerful.
It's big. It's aluminum.
So if we go back to our race, we don't have any other things we can add there. Class, now we can do an ability score modifier, and we can choose an option. We can either take an ability score or choose a feat.
Oh, I'd rather have a feat.
All right.
Yeah. Numbers are only good so far. Now we get something, let's just do something reckless.
Dave said 6 decks and make him a clumsy brewer.
Well, that's, how much dexterity do you need to be a brewer? Sort of not falling into the vat.
Right. Don't fall in the vat. Don't mix the wrong thing.
Yeah, okay. That's more intelligence. Yeah.
So some of the feats that we can choose from are actor, alert, athlete, charger, crossbow expert, dual wielder, dungeon delver, durable.
Nah, not this guy.
Elemental adept,
Nah.
acid, fire, lightning, all that fun stuff.
Those are wizard stuff. I don't do wizard stuff.
Inspiring leader, keen mind.
Keen mind,
Linguist?
actor or linguist would be good. I'm thinking trickster guy here.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's resilient. Nah. Sentinel, shield masters.
Now, on the other hand, we could also be savage attacker, which would be just like the complete worst combination.
That's true. Or tavern brawler.
That would be only because I'd be cheating a lot in the fight.
But actor?
Let's go actor.
Yeah,
He's
actor.
an actor. He's going to bluff his way out of all his trouble.
So we're going to get a +1 to our charisma.
All right, see, he likes that.
And we have-
Al, you're a great guy.
You can mimic the speech of another person or the sound made by other creatures. You
Right.
must have heard the person speaking or heard the creature make the sound for at least 1 minute. That's not bad.
Oh my God, I would have so much fun with that in a game.
Right? And I think that's all we get there. We did our abilities.
Get me a ventriloquism ability, and then I'd be like really dangerous.
Yes. Our next piece to this is always the description. And this is where we're going to build the backbone of our
Okay.
character.
All right.
So background, we get to choose our options. Of course, there's the acolyte, criminal, charlatan, entertainer, folk hero, all sorts of different ones we can choose from.
Background, yeah. So let's start with the question of what did his parents want him to be? That's always the first thing. My parents wanted me to be,
I think guild artisan.
guild artisan. Yeah. Grew up in a family of brewers, apparently.
There is that. Maybe a soldier. That was the way of the family, because anvil breaker sounds very,
Oh, yeah.
warlike.
It's either that or they make really strong ale, one of the two.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it really does lead back
What
to
do
that.
people think?
We have Outlander by Shannon.
I have no idea what an outlander
So
is.
an Outlander is basically someone that lives on the outskirts of society.
Oh, that doesn't sound like this guy.
Yeah, you grew up in the wilds, far from
No,
civilization, all that.
Yeah, this guy's all about conning people. Trust me, my God will take care of you.
Charlatan. I mean, that's what he is.
Yeah. I'm really, really powerful.
You drink the ale or
It's
you
either that
scrub
or
with
haunted one. Haunted one sounds pretty hysterical.
it. Okay, haunted one.
He's got a bad past.
Yeah, you are haunted by something terrible, so terrible that you dare not speak of it. You've tried to bury it and run away from it to no avail. Maybe that's why he brews so much alcohol, is just to drink his memory away.
Oh my God, yeah.
It might come, and that might, yeah, why he's weak.
If I were a DM, I would give people bonuses if they took that, just so I could have, yes, I will give you money so you can give that, so I can mess with you.
Yeah, I like it. You want to go with haunted one?
Yeah, let's go with haunted one.
Very cool. So with haunted one, we get some skill proficiencies.
Oh, okay.
Arcana, investigation, religion, or survival.
Oh, survival. It's all about survival.
All about survival. And we also get to pick another one of those. Arcana, investigation, or religion.
Well, he is a cleric. Arcana, religion. Which one? He's not an investigator. He doesn't care about people.
But is he? I think he has a religion, maybe only so that he can use it against you.
Yeah.
The knowledge of religion to use against and everybody like that. So, and also languages. We get a couple.
Exotic language.
Yes.
Deep speech makes sense for him.
It does.
Or undercommon would be. Which do you think? What do we think here?
So what does the group think? Everybody watching.
Yeah. What is the worst possible idea for a language you could learn?
So we have abyssal, celestial, deep speech, draconic, infernal, primordial, sylvan, or undercommon. So there's our list right there. You can choose from that list. And while you guys are choosing from that list, we have a decent amount of people watching right now. And I'd like to let you know we're going to give something away today. If Zeb is willing to sign something, I have an extra copy of one of the modules here.
And my pen.
And a pen. And we can get it signed. And we'll send it to one of y'all for watching today. I have 2 copies of Dwellers of the Forbidden City.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. So this was essentially, or a very small part of this was my job resume.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
This was my I had to do a writing sample for when I applied, and so I had this dungeon map kind of thing, and I wrote up a bit for it, and that wound up eventually showing up in there.
Yeah, this
in
is
in a mutated form.
Now, when you look at the actual map here, and this is an old module. I bought it at like a con, and I was like, I got to have this, and so it's got some, it's got some love to it. Someone took it, and also I think this was the first look of the aboleth, right?
Oh yeah, I had a tendency to create weird monsters.
So good. And
we almost made an aboleth toy.
Did you? Oh, you should have. Oh. Because I have most of the old TSR toys.
They built actually the what's called the maquette for it, which is basically the model, but it's all just kind of like this.
Right.
And then it never went into production. I used to have it for a long time, and I think it went on to a collector or something like that because it was like laying around my house.
Right. That makes sense. One of my favorite pictures from the early days of Dungeons & Dragons is this one right here. I just always loved this like fighter coming up out of the snake, being wound up and everything. It kind of reminded me of like early Conan.
Oh yeah, we were cheerful about ripping off anything like that.
So yeah, we'll get this signed and we'll send it to somebody. But in order to get this, if you hashtag in the chat, hashtag Zeb2019, then at the end of the show, I'll come back into the chat and pick one of y'all, and someone will get this signed copy of this module right here, Dwellers of the Forbidden City. It's so cool. I'm like,
wow. Yeah. All right, do we have a language?
Conan or Hercules. No languages so far.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, here we go. Deep speech. Yeah, we got 1, 2, 3 deep speech.
All right. We're deep speeching.
All right. Deep speech it is.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense for this guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now we go into the fun stuff.
Yes.
So, the personality traits.
This is where this gets you in trouble in so many great ways.
So, do you want to pick one or 2 personality traits, or do you want to roll for them? And then we build the character's background.
Oh my God, the temptation to be random is so wonderful.
Okay.
All right, we'll be random.
D8.
All right. So the first one is 8.
Yes. I put no trust in divine beings.
I'm a solid cleric.
That is perfect.
I'm a bitter, alcoholic old guy. Maybe not alcoholic, but I'm bitter.
And 4. I live for the thrill of the hunt. I think more along the lines of thrill of the mark.
It all depends on what you're hunting. Yes.
Right. So let's go with that. Thrill of the hunt. That's pretty funny. A cleric of trickery
Yeah.
who puts no faith in gods.
Come on, my God's a
perfect.
trickery god or
Yeah.
something. Why should I trust him?
It makes perfect sense. So our ideals is a D6, and we get one of those.
Oh, we get an ideal?
We do have an ideal.
All right. What's the ideal?
4.
4.
I have a dark calling that puts me above the law. So kind of a chaotic path, a dark calling. He is also haunted.
That goes right in with the haunted thing, and I think I'm blaming my God for all of this.
Yes. Now we get a bond, which is also a D6.
Let's see. I'm going to read these through, and then kind of like I'm going to start hoping I get something.
All right.
No, I don't want 6. That's like that would be like me and baby cart kid.
I keep my thoughts and discoveries in a journal, maybe. I would sacrifice my life and my soul to protect the innocent. My torment drove away the person I love. 5.
Oh.
There is an evil in me. I can feel it. It must never be set free. Again, I think it kind of twists with the haunted one.
It goes with the haunted thing, though. My temptation is like, maybe I could let it loose every now and then.
Yeah. I like that. And maybe he does.
Oh, wow.
And one last one, our flaw. Even though it seems like this guy already has enough.
Yeah. I have character.
That's correct. We are building character.
Yeah, that's right.
We have a new catchphrase.
Oh, I really hope I get number 1, because
Number 1?
boy, that would be completely annoying for people.
Oh, yes.
But no.
4.
No.
I have an addiction. I wonder what it is.
Well, if it's the stereotype that I usually go with, I'm a drunk. But
It kind of falls into the whole. I mean, it's almost like the dice
all right.
wanted us to make
I
this.
think basically I am haunted. I am drinking to bury my sorrows. But if I get too drunk, the horrible evil within me might break forth, and so I can't drink that much. So now I'm really messed up.
And you
I'm
have
just
an
a
addiction.
wreck.
I love it.
And I'm named Al.
Ale. All right, so that takes us to our equipment. So, which is always, we like to take a look at the miniature, and then we kind of build our equipment off of what they might be actually wearing.
Okay. Well, my standard rule on game equipment is usually I don't really care tremendously what you have until you start saying you're pulling out 500 feet of rope.
Right.
And then it's like, no, you don't have that.
So based on what he looks like, we've got that big hammer, which I thought would be great to be foam.
I think he's got like, really a really hairy back. That's not a shield. See?
Oh my God, it is a hairy back.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's either that or he's just like, hairdresser class all the way. Well, he's got that hammer, which is more impressive than it actually is. He's got a really, nice, cleanish looking set of clothes, which are, again, probably, classier looking, or imply that he has better status than he really is.
Ooh, yeah.
Come on, I'm not doing well in life here, so I'm trying to disguise all these issues as much as I can.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at cursed. No, there's no cursed items listed in this.
Okay, thank God. I think we saddled this poor guy up with enough.
Yeah.
Let's see. So he's got a light hammer, but it's just big looking.
Yeah, but it's light.
Yeah.
And And it does half damage because it is so light.
Yeah. He's got plenty of minuses on it already, yeah. But, you know, he just waves it and looks impressive and hopes people run away.
Yeah. And based on him being 5th level, what do you think a 5th level character would have maybe in the realm of magic?
Well, I'm notoriously stingy about magic in games I usually do because, you know, if you give them everything up front, then there's nothing fun to work for. But, you know, by this point, he ought to have at least, you know, some kind of magical armor of some sort.
Sure.
And at least a plus weapon somewhere so that he can deal with the haunted things that are trying to, you know, stalk him and kill him or whatever it is.
All right.
And then after that, mostly to be some consumables and maybe some oddball piece of something.
Okay.
But not a whole lot of stuff. You know, you don't want to load up your starting character with a lot of magic.
Right.
Because, you know, you want them to. Oh, I want, you know, to feel thrilled when they find something.
Right. So what I'm thinking is he has really nice vestments. He does appear to be
I keep my
well
clothes
adorned.
clean. Yeah.
But that fur thing on his back might be the exposed bit of armor. He might actually wear like this gross hide armor underneath, like +1 hide.
Yeah, you know, he's got some, you know, healthy protection like that. Yeah. Let's see.
Let's see if we can get
You get it as an ability, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Medium armor, hide. There we are. Armor of acid, armor of cold. Cold seems too prototypical.
Hide +1.
Armor of necrotic resistance, hide. What the hell?
That's actually really good.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
And maybe, but the thing is, it doesn't give him any bonus like +1. You can add a +1 to it, but basic, it just.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to die from undead right away.
No. You have resistance to necrotic damage while you wear this armor.
Yeah, that sounds good. I've got haunted things chasing me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm all about that.
That works perfectly.
Yeah.
And you were saying maybe a +1 weapon?
Yeah, he should have some plus weapons.
Something awkward, maybe.
Yeah, you know, well, or a dagger because you know he's a sneaky little devil at times. You know, you never want to, you know, again, you know, give them horrible underpowered weapons and then make them figure out what the hell they're going to do with them.
So we have dagger +1, dagger of venom, dagger +2, and +3, and then we have the vicious dagger.
Ooh, the vicious dagger. What is the vicious dagger?
The vicious dagger. When you roll a 20 on your attack roll with this magic weapon, the target takes an extra 7 damage of that weapon type. It's not magical, it's just really vicious.
Wow, yeah. I don't know, I'm thinking maybe the +2 actually, because you want him to be able to fight ghosts or whatever it is.
Sure.
And, you know, he needs to be able to hit things that can only be hit by magic weapons. At this stage, he's figured that out. You know, oh yeah, that's a problem. I should deal with that.
Dave Schrump said that the dagger of venom fits a trickster.
Yeah, but that's you know, he's a trickster. He's not like a.
He's not a killer.
Yeah.
He's not an assassin. He just doesn't want these ghosts and spirits and things from his past to keep sneaking up on him. And let's see, one last fun thing is wondrous.
Oh, this will get me in trouble, no doubt.
So there is the bag of tricks.
Let's see. Approach.
See if there's anything in there that would kind of still, I don't, you know, maybe not be too powerful, but fun.
Well, let's see. There's
Dust of sneezing and choking.
I was just looking at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's either that or the brooch of shielding, just because, which is, you know, kind of simple protection. But dust of sneezing and choking is always pretty amusing too.
Yeah, and I feel like when he's doing his trickster thing, if it just doesn't work out,
just run.
Just run.
Throw this and run.
Yeah, let's go with that. All right, so we've given him some fun stuff to kind of gear him up, and his starting equipment, we can either take equipment or gold. I like taking the equipment.
Oh, sure.
Because then we get to...
We got to fill an hour here. Come on.
Right. And there's still more questions and things that I'm sure we can talk about. So we have our cleric starting equipment, the Warhammer if proficient, which is we've already given him something. He's already got armor. He could have a light crossbow or any other simple weapon.
I'll go with a
that?
light crossbow.
Okay.
I'm going to keep it simple there.
All right.
You know.
And he can pick between a priest pack and an explorer's pack.
Oh, he's not. He's got to go with the priest pack just because.
All right.
Yeah, he's got to have something that says like, oh yeah, I really am religious.
Right.
I don't trust my God, but
You've obviously seen The Mummy, the first Mummy movie
Oh,
that,
yeah.
with Brendan Fraser and all that.
Mm-hmm.
When the mummy comes up against the one character and he starts pulling out all the different religious symbols, I kind of feel like this guy might have that. So we also get to pick between a shield and a holy symbol, and I feel like we can go with an amulet, an emblem, a holy symbol, or a reliquary.
well, reliquary is big and clumsy to carry around.
Right, and he can't do that.
Yeah, no. So it's either the amulet or the holy symbol, one of the two.
Okay. I think holy symbol?
Yeah, we'll keep it.
Okay.
Keep it easy.
All right. And we'll add that to our character. And in that we
He
can...
now probably is carrying. He now probably has more than he can carry. It'll be great.
Oh, yeah.
Alms
And
box. That's right. He needs an alms box.
everybody needs an alms box.
Well, he needs an alms box simply so he can take this and make sure he makes a profit out of the whole deal.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm thinking that maybe sometimes he does that. He sits out in front of a tavern and just kind of is like,
Yep. Well, he's got to set it out when he's preaching. Does his street preaching, sets out his alms box.
Right.
You know, and basically, his street preaching is something like, well, let me guess what you have in your pocket.
that sounds like
My
a
God
trickster's.
speaks to me. And
So here's our character. We'll take a look at the actual character sheet so y'all can see. This is Algernon Anvilbreaker. He is a 5th level Dwarven Cleric. His stats,
who's got no career ahead of him as a cleric, I think.
none. And what's fun though is because of his being a mountain dwarf,
Yeah.
his strength is actually an 8. It went up.
Oh, my God.
So he's not actually that bad of a character.
Oh, yeah.
But his story and background are what really makes this particular character, with being an alcoholic, a brewer, haunted.
Well, let's just say that alcoholic's such a harsh word.
Right. Having a proclivity towards adult beverages.
Yeah, just let's just say that he doesn't travel without a flask.
At least
big
one.
flask.
Yeah, that's awesome. We see what we have here in the chat. Oh, Sarah had said a fur cloak of cold resistance.
Well, that, I thought about that, but with his luck, he'll get shipped off to the South Seas or something.
That is a fact. So one of the things that I'm curious about is conventions.
Yeah.
What we already mentioned that you go to like Historicon and Cold War.
Yeah, so I do a lot of miniatures gaming, and and that's just for fun. And so I'm gonna be going to Cold Wars, but I actually have like a whole little convention lineup already started for this year. I'm going to be at GaryCon.
Okay.
Actually, the first thing I'm going to is ScrumCon down outside of DC. I can't remember exactly what it is right now, and that's in February. And that's just a little one-day convention. I'm going to do Return to the Isle of Dread.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. And I have really bad ideas for this, so it'll be entertaining.
By bad ideas, I'm sure it is going to be entertaining.
It's either that, or they really will be proved to be bad ideas. One of the two. And then at GaryCon, I'll be doing the Interplanar Melee, which is a miniatures thing that we did way back at ancient days of TSR.
Okay.
Where so you get all these great miniatures, right? And this was back when miniatures companies would just say, "Oh yeah, we'll make a toad riding a giant lizard. That'll be great. We can And then it's like you get these miniatures of toads riding giant lizards, and you go like, well, what the hell are we supposed to do with these, right? Because there's no stat, they've got no game, no stats, anything for them. So we started basically saying, okay, take all these miniatures, gave out, set up some kind of like X number of levels to assign up between them and hit point totals and this sort of stuff, and then work out all the stats, and then we'll just do a big miniatures battle. And we started out using D&D, kind of more or less as the rule framework.
Okay.
And this went on for a while. Guys would show up with their big, I've got my 20 levels and all these other things, all this sort of stuff, and there'd be lots of chaos and all this stuff. And we would go find like the most horrible spells that we could,
Nice.
drop them on the battlefield. And then one day, Errol Otis, who was playing this, and he painted gorgeous miniatures, and he shows up and he had these giant chameleons that had lizards on the back of them riding them, and it's like, giant chameleons with lizards, and somebody actually made these. And he's going along, and I think it was Harold Johnson was one of our guys who used to work at TSR a long time. Basically had his guys coming up and his wizards in the lead, and then he comes up towards one of these giant chameleons, and it was Errol's turn, and Errol says, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, the chameleon shoots out its tongue. Oh, it hits. Yeah, it swallows him whole."
Yes.
and Errol was like, "What?" Make us. Oh, he's dead. Right?
That is awesome.
And we always had to have one person be kind of the adjudicator who had kind of gone through everything in advance. And Harold's going, "Wait, how would he do that?" He says, "Yep, he can do that."
I love it.
And at that point, that kind of started the all bets are off kind of approach, which ended up with Tom Mulvey had a whole bunch of characters, which included this little dwarf with the poncho and pistols and the big hat, right? Dwarf with no name. Who I think it happened to Harold again. The guy was coming up close to him, and Harold, and this guy says, "All right," he fires a shot, and he uses Boot Hill rules for resolution, right? And so they did Boot Hill rules and fired a shot, hit him in the head, mortal wound, he's dead.
That's perfect.
Another guy made out of epoxy a whole bunch of plasticine epoxy, something of awful green things from the Tom Wham game. And if you've ever played the game, basically it's a complete trope to the old '60s science fiction monster movies. It's monsters on the spaceship. You got to figure out how to kill them. So you have to grab a bunch of weapons and you have to use them, but you don't know what the weapons will do until you use them. And some will kill them, some will cause them to split and become,
and multiply.
Multiply. Some will shrink them back down to eggs. Some will have no effect. Some will stun. And so it's always like, oh my god, what's going to work?
Right.
And so he used those rules that anytime you attacked him, first time you got attacked with something, you had to draw the little chit and find out what it did.
Nice.
Steve Winter showed up with the Bismarck and a number of other ships that just basically kind of floated across the battlefield.
That's crazy.
It was mad. I think the one that finally just drove us all crazy was John Pickens, who was an editor who had been there for a long time, and it was a very good min-maxer.
Okay.
Found a I think it was something from one of the UK monsters, but the Gibberling.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Gibberling, and the Gibberling's got like one hit point. It's like one hit die or a half a hit die, right? And so I think that we had 1,000 hit dice that you could have or something like that. So he had like 2,000 of these things. But the thing is that they were all in another dimension.
Okay.
Right, and basically he could only have on the table like X number of figures, right?
Okay.
But as they died, new ones would pop in instantly to replace them, right?
Yeah, and if there's 2,000.
And so people would like see this, like 20 Gibberlings headed towards them, and plus, Gibberlings apparently never check morale or anything like that, right? And they would just come charging, and so they're immune to fear, they're immune to this. You drop a fireball, and it says, okay, yeah, they're all dead. Boom, new batch shows up.
No.
We at that point decided maybe this wasn't nearly as much fun as we thought it used to be.
Okay. And this is a game that you are going to redo at GaryCon.
So I'm going to do a version of it at GaryCon, and I'll be bringing some plastic Japanese giant monsters.
Okay.
And I'll dig out some. I probably will bring some cowboys because any miniatures game is better with cowboys.
Makes sense.
And then some other people are going to help me and show up with some items, and then we will field these armies and see what happens. Last year when I did this, we had the giant Japanese monsters. We had the high-level D&D party, a couple of those. We had the Soviet Army from World War II.
Well, you're going to love, I'm going to be giving you something at the end of the program afterwards. Maybe the miniature in that is the one you might want to throw in there too.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be crazy.
It all depends on what I find in my basement and what I can take on a plane is really
Makes
what it
sense.
comes down to.
That makes sense.
And then I'll be doing seminars and some other stuff there too. And I think I'm doing, there is some other role-playing thing, and I can't remember what it is right at the moment.
Right.
But I'm doing that. And then over in Frederick, the week after that, which is both of those are in March, is
The BFG?
BFG Con, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing there, but I know I'm going to be there on a panel, and beyond that, I'm not sure what else.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then is Gen Con, Origins, are those ever on your radar?
The problem with Gen Con is it's really, really big.
Right.
And it's gotten to the point where it's just very difficult for me to go because either I'm like in the middle of something at work,
Right.
or by the time I realize, oh, Gen Con's here, there's not a hotel room to be had.
Right. That makes sense.
And so I haven't been in a very long time. And I'm also going to North Texas RPG Con,
Nice.
which is in June in Dallas.
Okay.
And that's a really great con because he gets a lot of the old school TSR and other company people show up, and a lot of whom live in Texas these days, and basically, just run role-playing games and have a good time.
And oddly, there's a lot of old TSR here in the Maryland area.
I've hired a few of them.
Right. You've got a couple over at where you
So at
currently work.
ZeniMax. Basically, we've got myself, Lawrence Schick, who actually hired me to work at TSR as a designer. He was the guy, basically was my boss there. Now he is the lore master on Elder Scrolls Online.
Nice.
And then Ed Stark, who worked at...
Who died in the Game of Thrones. Yeah.
who worked at West End Games and then went to TSR and Wizards of the Coast, and now he's been doing video games for a while. And Bill Slavisek, who again worked at West End and then TSR,
Right.
and is now basically one of the lead writer on Elder Scrolls.
Nice.
Yeah, so,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in our company, we have Jim Falone, who used to work at TSR as well.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, Jim.
So Jim, speaking of which, I saw him yesterday, and we were talking about you coming in. And
God, no.
He wanted me to ask you about, in campaigns we go on our quests, and apparently you go on a quest every year with your friends that you mentioned, the old TSR group, and it has to be, it's kind of food themed, maybe deli themed. What is that about?
So this is a complete non-role. It's a different kind of role playing. Let's put it that way. Basically, I like food. I like interesting, odd, strange foods. We moved around a lot, so I got into the habit of trying to find all of the little delis, groceries, interesting restaurants. And then, so after living here for a few years and answering questions from people about where do I find this and that, I started organizing this thing we call the deli crawl, which is we all get together on a Saturday, get a carpool, a bunch of things. I come up with a list of places, and so it's like, okay, first we're going to go hit the Russian deli, and it really is a Russian deli.
Nice.
It's really good. And then from there we'll go off to the German sausage maker, and then we're going to go to the Greek place that's underneath the freeway, and it literally is underneath the freeway.
Wow.
Right. and basically we go around, we buy all sorts of things, and people sample stuff and all this sort of stuff, and then we wind up at one of the food court the high-end food court places,
Right.
and all sit around and compare our treasures and have a good time. So yeah.
Nice.
So the challenge is always trying to figure out what's some new strange place that we have not yet checked out.
So if
And then
anybody,
convincing them.
if anybody watching that lives in the Maryland area and Baltimore specifically,
Yeah, it's an adventure in herding cats, and after a while.
if there's any food places that you would recommend, always put those in the chat, and maybe they could be added to your list for next time.
You never know.
Now, in the chat, there was a cool question that was, when did you transition from the tabletop design to the video game side of the house.
Okay, so you remember I mentioned Lawrence Schick, he hired me at TSR.
Yeah.
Right, in 1979. And about 1994 or 5, I was looking vague at that point, I got a call from Lawrence Schick. He was basically setting up a games division for some company that had never done games before, and he wanted to know if I would come work for that. And so frankly, I had been at TSR for 15 years by this point, so it must have been 94. And it was pretty much done everything that, so it kind of felt like it was a great time to make the change.
Sure.
And plus they were going to pay me more.
Perfect.
And so I went over in 94, and then I spent the next about 20 years moving around the country like mad until we finally got to Baltimore and have managed to stay in one place.
Okay.
Yeah, which was satisfying.
Nice. Let's see what we got in the chat real quick, see if there's any other cool questions. Shannon asks, are we going to do any live plays, like a live campaign? We have done some in the past. It's always an opportunity and a possibility that we will in the future. Sarah asks, isn't GaryCon where they going to preview the Dreams in Gary Gygax's Basement documentary? I believe it is. I think that it was just a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I saw something about it, but all these things about early history of things, that even goes way back earlier than stuff I know about.
Right. And then screening at GaryCon 9, yeah, someone else has responded to that. If you do end up doing live plays, I'll definitely watch. And yeah, of course, if we can get to that, we will. Just one last shout out to y'all to say, if you put in hashtag #Zeb2019, if you haven't done that yet, someone is going to get a copy of the Dwellers of the Forbidden City. This is a adventure for characters levels 4 to 7 in first edition.
First appearance of the Yuan Ti, too.
The Yuan Ti, the snake folk.
The snake guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that there's a giant frog.
Bullywug on the front.
Bullywug there. And someone's going to get that signed by Zeb. It's pretty cool. Now, we've only got a few more minutes.
All right.
And I have a question on my end is, of all the things that you've done,
Yeah.
what is the thing that you tend to kind of like go back to? Is like, I'm really happy to have done that.
It's 2 items, and they're for different but kind of obvious reasons. One is second edition, because to be entrusted with that by TSR at the time, that was a really big deal.
Yeah.
And I know people edition wars and everything, but I was happy with the end result. It kind of it did the kind of game that I like to do, and in fact, I think that's one of the things I like about 5th edition is that it goes much more back towards that spirit of stuff. And so that makes me happy. And then the other one is obviously Planescape, because it was just the perfect collision of bad ideas and great bad ideas, and artists and artist involvement, and from having Rob Dana Knudsen got time to do a whole bunch of concept art and really help define kind of like a lot of the look and feel. Right. And Rob Ruppel doing the art, and his wife working out the Lady of Pain piece, which was actually, so the Lady of Pain was originally just a concept piece that Dana had done. We were kind of looking for some symbols for the different factions in that one, and we looked at that and said, like, wow, that's just too good. We have to use that. Right. So it became the logo piece, and then obviously then getting Tony DiDolizzi to really define the look and feel of the characters. It made all the stuff that I was doing all kind of gel together, and came up with a completely unplayable campaign that people really seem to like.
They do like it. There are many groups on Facebook dedicated to it.
Wow,
which is awesome.
Come on, I got to do so many bad ideas in that thing. It was hysterical.
Well, one of them, if you want to call it a bad idea, that has definitely grown into 5th edition. I mean, it was in 4th edition as well. The Tiefling.
Oh, the Tiefling. No, they were actually they were sensible, but it was like the guys who only spoke in rebuses.
All right.
They're like, how are you going to role play that, guys? Huh? or I think for each of the factions there was a little 1-page kind of write-up description of them, And for the ones, so the guys who are all about pure chaos, right?
Right.
I literally wrote the description, and then I broke it down into one-line sentences, and then I randomly sorted it,
Okay.
and that's what we printed.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So it kind of makes sense, but boy, it jumps around a lot.
The fact that you thought about that as an option that's crazy.
Yeah, I was having a little too much fun.
It sounds like it. I actually saw when I speak of my friend Seth, who did the Eye of the Beholder. Him and his wife and the friend there. They had some footage sent to them of you and a bunch of y'all. Someone had recorded a lot of the design work on Planescape.
Wow.
And you're walking around in the studio or whatever, and they're doing some cutting of foam for the Lady of Pain, this big thing that they were making, and
wow, I don't even remember this. This is,
if it's possible, I'll talk to Seth and maybe we can have you take a look at it.
Oh, sure,
And, it'd be a lot of
No,
fun.
I'm sitting there going, I don't remember any of this.
It was cool. It was just a little clip. It's maybe 5 minutes long, I think. But it's really cool. It's not in the movie because it didn't get sent to them until like later and after. It was all pretty much, I'm guessing, in that realm. But it was still pretty cool to see. Justin Zarin, who is the president of WizKids, is watching, and he said, "I feel like a little kid starstruck." Sit here, Justin. I've been geeking out all day. I really have. You can ask Johnny. I've kind of been nervous and everything. Even though we've met and everything, it's
I like talking about this stuff. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for coming today. We have reached our time. Everybody watching, thank you so much. We do appreciate everybody that joins us here at part of our community, and we're glad that you're now part of our community.
Yeah, it's fun. And, thank you all.
Yeah, and I hope that we can get you back in, maybe for something a little more grandeur. Maybe we'll play that dwarf. Maybe we'll figure it out. If that's a long way down the road, everybody.
There's a deep backstory we'll have to work through there.
But again, go to your friendly local game store, pick up Dungeons and Dragons.
Support your game stores, absolutely.
Yeah. And come back next week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll be doing Painting Happy Little Minis. Next Friday, we'll be doing Building Character again. And check out D&D Beyond. It's a really cool site to help you build your characters efficiently, quickly, and get you on the table playing really fast. Zeb, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. This has been Board Games and Beyond. I'm Lion. This has been Game Trade Media's Building Character. I'm Rick, and I'll see you at the game store.
Building Character. If you liked it, leave a like and a comment below, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new content.